What is going on, crypto family? Are we live? I can't see on your side there. This would be cool, man. So this is going to be a pre-recorded video. Awesome. We're going live with your audience. So very cool. For people that don't know me, my name is CryptoBeadles. We give away $100 of Ethereum on every one of our episodes. But on this one here, this is going to be an interview with Richard. You know, he's I've really been looking forward to interviewing him. We spoke several times over the past couple of years. He's a super smart, interesting dude. I really love his style, and I'm actually, kind of a big fan. I always call him, Red Pill, Mr. Richard Red Pill Hart, because it seems like that he kind of, opens our eyes to things, and he takes kind of complicated issues and turns them into kind of simple parables and stories with his idea of proof. It's kind of the polar opposite, so to speak, of a lot of people in this space. I know that he's kind of a TA guru of sorts, and it's kind of cool, man. He actually predicted the $20,000 Bitcoin in Christmas, and then now I think he's calling for like a $1,275 Bitcoin. What'd you say, by the end of this year or next year? Wow. So that's scary for a lot of people. Yeah, it's definitely scary for a lot of people in the space. Uh-oh. Can you hear me now? Yeah, no worries at all. Huh. Yeah, I've never had an issue with Zoom. It's Can people in the chat they hear us?
Let's see if they can hear us this time.
Can you hear us, peeps? Not anymore. Wrecked. Closed captions.
Yeah, but there's lag, so you have to wait about 20 seconds until they can actually hear us again. Let us know if the reboot fixed it. So the last time I looked, it should work now.
Okay, you sure that?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
all
it
right.
works now. Cool.
There you go. Look at that. All right.
So let's start from scratch.
Cool, man. Let's do that. All right. So what's up, crypto family? I'm glad you guys all have audio now. So my name is CryptoBeadles. We're going to do this kind of pre-recorded on my channel, but it's very cool to be live with you guys. For people that don't know me, I have my own channel that we give away $100 of Ethereum on every video. Just like this one, we put a keyword on it. So on this one, we'll do Red Pill, because I like to call Richard Red Pill, Hart, because he's always giving us the truth, kind of like in Matrix, right? So anyways, I've been looking forward to this interview for quite a while. We spoke, a couple times over the past, and so I'm actually kind of a fan of sorts. He kind of puts complicated things into parables of sorts, And he's got kind of a different perspective than most people in the space. So, it's something that I definitely appreciate, because I don't like echo chambers where everybody's just saying the same things. It's cool to have, somebody that's got a different perspective. So, he's also called the $20,000 Bitcoin in Christmas. He also called it when it was going to go down to 8,500. Now he's got a different prediction for us. So I guess before we get into, kind of the predictions and all that kind of stuff, man, maybe talk, a little bit about, maybe you like your style, man. So you've got, you have a very unique style. You've got, different clothes. Looks like you lost some weight. Looks like you're getting healthy. What's kind of the inspiration for how you dress, man, for people that can kind of learn a little bit about you before we start talking about crypto and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. Well, I got, I've only had like really long-term relationships. So, I've had a couple 8-year relationships, and you can only fit so many 8-year relationships into your life. And then you figure, all right, well, maybe I'll try this going out thing. And what you discover is when you go out, you need to have impact. And there's lots of different ways you can have impact in public: posture, tonality, gesture, framing. What is it that you're talking about? Body language, peer group, who are you with? A lot of different stuff, right? So one easy way that someone can estimate your utility or value as a human being is by the clothes that you wear. And if you look like a scrub, you probably are a scrub. They say don't judge a book by its cover, so but Steve you really Jobs should judge books by covers. It's a really good idea. Like if the cover of the book says Bible, and you open it up and indeed there is a Bible in it, well, that is what you should have expected, And if if the cover of the book is like a guy with all his clothes off, it's maybe some romance stuff. So you really should judge books by their covers. And then you have to ask yourself, what is the sexy stereotype that you want to target to look awesome? And you've got finite options. You look like a cowboy or a sports guy, or whatever you've seen on the cover of GQ or the magazine of your choice. And unless you're in the business of fashion, it's very hard to venture out of those bounds, right? So I'm not in the business of fashion, but I understand texture and form and contrast and those things well enough to make outfits that look cool. And then I just kind of discovered that what I like is high contrast and ornate. And if you're chubby and you want to hide that you're chubby, this camouflage shit's fabulous, right? Because you can't tell where the fat stops and starts and all that. So
well, it actually looks like you lost quite a bit of weight, man. So whatever you're doing, keep it up, man. So.
Yeah, dude. I've just been lifting a lot of weight. I'm strongest I've ever been, and I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Is altcoin bag reps or what, man?
No. I used to do the strong list 5x5, which is 5 reps by. It's the most weight you can do, which just gets you down to 5 reps, and then you do it by 5 sets, and then you do it, twice a week. Now, what you do is you just take that same workout and you just do it every single day, just one of the sets. And so what you end up with is a ton of volume and a lot of healing every night, because you get weaker working out. You get stronger healing and sleeping. So it's not the workout that makes you strong, it's the healing. And if you work out every single day, then you just have a lot more nights of healing, and you end up doing more volume. So, and then if you go out and with friends or come home late or mess your schedule up in whatever way, that's your off day. And then the next day you can lift a lot more because you had, that rest. You might not be able to do that if you lift a lot more. I'm just amateur strong, but if you look at the charts, amateur strong is strong. If you can bench 300 pounds, you're rare, and that's hard.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, basically your muscles need time to repair themselves, and that's when you start seeing the gains and the growth. And so, whatever you're doing, man, keep it up.
Thanks, bro.
So, yeah, no worries. So, how old are you, man? These are some of the questions
40.
that come to my mind.
I'm almost 40, but since I don't drink coffee or alcohol, I haven't drank alcohol since August, so that's 4 months, and coffee, I guess maybe 1 month. No caffeine. So I'm just gonna keep cutting out stuff that sucks. So maybe I'll cut out sweets next.
All right, cool, man. So you got any kids?
No
kids. All right, so you got a girlfriend?
Yeah, I go out a lot, so I have girlfriend of the week. It's cool. Fun.
So you cut out coffee, you cut out alcohol. I don't think you do any drugs or anything like that. So what's your favorite food now, man? What are you eating?
Steak, Tons of steak.
Steak.
Tons and tons of steak.
Carnivore diet.
Well, I don't want to say it's a carnivore diet because I hate all that tag along bullshit. Like, that's what people think makes them cool, is the stuff they eat. I assure you the stuff you eat does not make you cool. It's weak. Like, when vegans brag about being vegan and you rag on them for how stupid that is, bragging about eating steak all the time is equally fucking stupid. Like Dan Bilzerian's jacked as fuck, and apparently he just eats veggie protein. You can be jacked as fuck if you want to eat a lot of protein. It doesn't matter what the protein comes from. If you do it for animals, cool. You know, people are going to say, oh, your estrogen levels get up if you eat soy. Well, you know, there's other things you can get it from, not just soy, right? Peanuts, peas, whatever the hell you want, right? So I don't want to identify as the guy that eats the food for an identity, right? I just happen to want muscle mass, and if you want muscle mass for all the workout you're doing, you need to eat high levels of protein. So it makes you not hungry, and it puts on the muscle, and I'm the strongest I've ever been, so I'm happy.
Keep it up, man. So, favorite book and favorite movies. These are some of the. I just always like to get to know the person a little bit before you start talking shop.
Yeah. So I think my favorite movie is Aliens, from 1970 something. The second one with the S on the end. Yeah. Alien was the first one. It was good. Aliens was retardedly good. The special effects are better than what you see in movies now. The aliens are more believable. The ships are more believable. The plot is more believable. It's so good. Like, as far as sci-fi stuff goes or female protagonist goes, I'm unaware of any film that has a better female protagonist. In general, I don't like female protagonist films because they're all done so poorly. But Aliens was just fucking amazing. And I like the game. There's this movie called The Game.
Star Wars.
Oh, Star Trek for sure. Star Wars, they can't aim. Like, no one's ever actually been hit by a shot. So, like, we've got super advanced technology, but super shitty aiming. It's fucking stupid.
They got lightsabers, man. They'll chop off your hand or your arm. Be careful.
Oh, it's
and
so
your legs.
Terrible. So stupid. I hate almost everything that George Lucas has created. As you become an adult, you're like, this is all garbage for kids, and I'm not a kid anymore. I want it to be better. So the other movie I'd like was The Game. And if you haven't seen it, I won't ruin it for you, but towards the end, the main character does something that you've never seen another main character do. And it's very moving. And you're like in shock for a good while.
I'm trying to think. The Game. Who's the actor?
The Game has Michael Douglas and Sean Penn. It's about.
I don't know that I've seen it.
You should see it. It's quite good. Soundtrack's awesome too.
I will try to check it out this weekend. So, favorite book?
You know, I haven't read that many books.
What?
Yeah. So
is it all YouTube?
Well, I read all day, but it's mostly things that are on the internet. So, I mean, I've read, a bunch of Tony Robbins stuff, a bunch of self-help stuff. So, Think and Grow Rich and like, I guess I could look at my bookshelf. Like, it's basically everything that you would see on this like rich and powerful how to do things better list, right? Like all the Tony Robbins stuff, lean startup, anything
self-improvement books.
Pretty much, yeah. I've read all the self-improvement books.
All right. So you you a Christian? You believe in God? I know you have.
I was
your own
raised a
book now,
Jehovah's Witness, so
Okay.
we used to knock on doors, and I was so young at the time.
No Christmas presents for you.
Yeah, it was no Christmas presents. Didn't really do birthday presents. It was weird. It like, I don't know. It helps you be really social, I guess, because if you're going out talking to people all the time, so I think it makes you better at talking. It's just a little silly that everyone believes this book that has never been updated with like frequently asked questions or like, hey, the age of consent is this, or, written in a language you understand, or written well enough that it doesn't faction off into 50 splinter groups that then go to war with each other, or was written 1,000 years after the main character was dead and they had a committee to decide what would get in and what would get out. It's all too silly. And then even the 10 Commandments, there's not 10. There's 13 statements given in 2 different places. If you're Jewish, there's 600 commandments. You take everything that was said seriously. If you're Christian, you're like, I was only really serious about those 10 things, of which there's actually 13 that people group differently, which is why they're taught differently. And half of them are redundant. Like, do you really need to know, thou shalt have no other gods before me, and I am the one God that you're God, and like 3 or 4 of the phrases just mean like, yo, I'm cool. You're like, all right, we get you're cool, man. Like, you could cut out 4 of the phrases. They're not actionable for people mostly.
Maybe it's like marketing, right? Where the person has to hear it like 8 or 10 different times. So, God's just, reinforcing it,
Right. Maybe. It's Mimi rap, and it's getting outperformed by other Mimi raps. Like the Islam dudes are breeding better and have less fallout and outperforming, like having children wise. And there's countries that have, I think there's more countries that were not Islamic and then turned Islamic than were not Christian and turned Christian in recent history. So if you're looking at the metrics, it seems like Islam is outperforming Christianity by the numbers. If you care about other stuff like science, I don't think Islam's doing that good.
Yeah, I think the biggest, I want to say the biggest population of Christians, I think, are actually in the U.S. I think that's right. And then when you go to different countries, there's, different, I wouldn't call it factions, but just different religions and whatnot. And Christianity, I think, is most prevalent here in the United States. So,
So I wrote what I hoped would be useful for people that wanted to have something religious-like that gave them better benefits. So if you think about like what benefits a religion has, it's the same benefits you get from any cooperative system. So the people that can get over their differences and cooperate will outperform the people that are loners. So Christians will often outperform atheists because they're happy to vote for each other and work together and have a larger cooperative group. And therefore, if you say you're Christian, it's easier to get elected and work with other people than if you say you're one of those weird atheists, right? So whether atheism is right or wrong, or whether any of these other religions are right or wrong, the power is in the collectivism. And so if you can get collectivism and healthy living and diet and exercise and positive attitudes and all these good things that come from these belief systems, you can show people benefits. Like you can take a complete scam that is made up bullshit like Scientology. There are parts in it that are effective, and they get good results for the people that follow those parts.
The laundering money aspect of it, the tax evasion aspect of it.
Well, to get shit done. The personal responsibility. I mean, there's one drill that they do where they put you in a room and they analyze what your weaknesses are to try and fuck with you, and then a team of guys just straight up fucks with you. That's pretty cool. They do like fuck with you drills. You're like, wow, that's pretty interesting actually. That seems like it could be useful for being able to engage on the internet and have a thick skin, right? It's like any martial art. Any martial art has some part of it that works. Any diet has something that works. Any workout has something that works. So if you try and pick all the parts that work from a bunch of different stuff, you should end up with an effective system.
Cool. So what do you do that makes you the happiest, man? When are you the happiest?
I should say I wrote that book. So if you want to download it, it's called Scivive, like survive through science. Mm-hmm. It's an outline, but if you're a smart guy, you can get through it. I'll eventually write the glue to make it all friendly and narrative. But if you just want to learn how to brush your teeth,
tell people. So
you're
all
the stuff that worked for me.
How to live.
Right. Yeah. Here's how you go into a bar and meet people. Here's good clothes, bad clothes, why. Here's how to get rich. Here's how to write a good advertisement. Here's how to hire people. Here's how to find scumbags. Here's how to detect when people are lying to you. Just every good thing you've ever figured out, if you wrote it down, it would be useful to people. It doesn't have to be a religion, right?
So it's just kind of like a guide to life, huh? Richard's Guide to Life?
Pretty much, dude. Yeah.
I'll check it out, man.
Did you know if you're tired of when you piss, having that split beam piss anywhere, you just open the end of your dick with your fingers before you do it? That seems to be like the most popular content in the book. Or that when girls have their periods, they're actually stress testing you to make sure you can handle it when the shit is worse and they're actually pregnant. Because if you can't handle the period angry, you definitely can't handle the pregnant angry. So it's a stress test just like they do to the banks. Did you know why relationships only last 6 years? Because in the wild, your kid would be able to take care of itself at 6 or 7, and you should be moving on to find the next partner. We have sex to create variety. What else creates variety? We don't make clones, right? We have sex. The boy chooses the girl chooses the boy. In the good cultures. In the bad cultures, it's rape fest. But in the good cultures, they both choose. That creates variety. What else creates variety? New partner. That's why relationships don't last longer than 6 or 7 years. They die before 7. They just call it quits at 7. These are mostly my ideas. I'm happy about them.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's a very unique perspective. It's not what you hear in common conversations. It's very cool.
Thanks, man.
So when are you the most happy, man? What makes you the happiest? Is it
winning? I
crypto?
like winning.
What's that?
Any domain of winning makes me very happy. So if I'm out and I'm meeting people and I meet fun, nice, pretty people, I'm very happy. If I'm making money and I make more money, I'm happy. If I get likes and subscribes and followers, happy. If I get unfollows, I'm unhappy. So I don't know. Maybe it's not the best way to live, but it's kind of where I'm at now.
So is that kind of like winning for yourself, or for others, or?
It's right now mostly me, man. Because so you always focus on what you don't have figured out, right? If I didn't have great people in my life that love me and I love them, then I would be addressing it and it would be a concern, right? But I have a family that loves me. My parents are both alive. They love me. I've got a lot of, physical fun in my life. I've got great friends. There's nothing missing there. So I don't need to focus on it. The things I need to focus on are, my book, a project called the Save Your Ass Fund, where, you can buy a green index and it saves the environment, but you still get rich. There's no index that just invests in stuff that's biotech that might save your life or your kid's life or your family's life and still get you rich. That doesn't exist. If you invest in normal biotech, maybe there's some malaria stuff in there, you're not getting malaria. Maybe there's some sickle cell anemia stuff, you're not getting sickle cell anemia. So there should be a fund that exists in this world that invests in science that gets you rich and might save your life. It doesn't yet exist, and it should. So, if you're Steve Jobs and you lost the game and you died, you can't take the money with you. You should have spent all of it trying to buy an extra day or two. What benefit was it for you to die with a bunch of extra zeros at the end of your bank account? You knew you were 80% likely to die of heart disease or cancer. You should have done something to fight it. You didn't. You lost. I wouldn't trade places with that guy. I'm doing better than he is, right? So other people with more wealth than I'll ever have need to start making the right decision for themselves and their families and invest in the shit that will save their lives. And if it doesn't work out for them, it might work out for their kids. If it doesn't work out for the kids, it'll work out for the rest of mankind. You cure something once, it's cured forever, right?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff too, they always say, I think it was Buddha, not Buddha, maybe it was Gandhi, let thy food be thy medicine, thy medicine be thy food. So there's a lot of things that actually, God just gives us from the ground that actually, possibly cures cancer. Things, Dr. Was it G. Edward Griffin, the truth about cancer? I think that's what the name of it was. He talks about apricot seeds. I don't know if you've ever, heard about that.
Well, if you could cure cancer by eating just fruits, Steve Jobs wouldn't be dead because he was a fruitarian before he got sick.
It's the seed.
And then his liver failed.
That's what J. Edward Griffin says. It's the seed. So It's not the actual fruit. Just something I know you like to read. So you might want to take a look into that when you're talking about alternative medicines and things like that.
I don't believe in alternative medicine. Do you know why? Because when it works, it's no longer called alternative. It's just called medicine. It's like aspirin, okay? Aspirin is from tree bark, and it works. So we prescribe it.
Patent tree bark, and so that's why you don't need tree bark.
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. You're still buying aspirin brand name. You could buy acetyl acid, which is the off-brand, right? But no one does. They still buy the brand name. So,
sure.
People still buy Tylenol instead of acetaminophen, right?
Yeah. What I meant was, it's more profitable for the companies to actually, patent a type of tree bark and put it in pill form and put it in, basically, bottles and sell it on shelves, and people just to walk by and rip off some bark off trees, right? So
yeah, I'm always weary of woo-woo in that life is hard and medicine is hard and complex systems are hard, and anytime you think you've got a single small molecule that fixes a thing, it's almost never the case. It's rare. It's hard. And we study this shit, right? So if you think apricot seeds cure shit, go get some money, go do an ICO, whatever, get some money and go test it. Actually test it and show us the results so that someone else can replicate it. And then it will no longer be alternative medicine. It'll be real medicine. Don't skip that testing shit and assume it works, because that's why you turn blue. There's people that think silver kills bad stuff inside you, and they drink a lot of colloidal silver and their skin literally turns blue. There's Smurf-looking dudes walking around the earth right now from taking too much silver because they thought it was healthy.
Yeah. No, it was just one of those things that I know you do a lot of research and reading, and so I was wondering if you'd heard about it. Not that I'm, proclaiming people should do it. So, but yeah, cool, man. So, as far as, in crypto, maybe what's your favorite exchange that you use right now? Or are you using?
I like Bitmex. Uh-huh. So the reason I like Bitmex is because you can use high leverage there if you want, so that you can protect your cash position without sending them more coins. If you like Bitmex, in my video on the bottom, there's a 10% discount link. Use it, you'll get 10% off. If you use a normal exchange and you want to protect $100 of Bitcoin, you need to send $100 of Bitcoin there and sell it. It's not a futures product. So you have to pay capital gains tax depending on what your structure is. I don't know whether you're a corporation or a person or whatever you're doing, right? If you take out a futures contract, check with your accountant, it's different. You're not selling your coins. You're opening up a short contract or a long contract, and it's taxed preferentially. So depending on where you live and how things work, you don't have to fill out a lot of form with your name and such. There's no personal info when you sign up. You know, you could make coins when the price goes down. If you sell your coins on an exchange, you can't make coins when the price goes down. You have to rebuy again, and that's another event, right? So it kind of sucks to like want to you believe in Bitcoin long term, but you understand that this shit does have bubbles and they pop. So if you want to make coins on the way down, putting some money on Bitmex and opening up a short is like a really good way to do it, in my opinion. And then if you want to buy the dip, you don't have to send fiat someplace and wait days. You can send some coin over there, go long, no waiting days. You know, like the whole idea is to get rid of all that existing bank shit. So if you don't have to use existing bank shit, why should you?
Gotcha. For people that actually want to hold, you know, actual Bitcoins and not just, you know, trade contracts, what percentage of, you know, I guess, you know, their expenditure should go towards, you know, contracts versus actually holding the physical coins?
Well, it was easier to know how much coins you needed to defend your position when we were closer to the 200-day moving average. So when you're in a bear market, the hallmark of a bear market is that you get rejected off the 200-day moving average, which back when we were at 6,000, the 200-day moving average was at 7,200. So if the price ever went up over 7,200 for, you know, maybe 2 or 3% over that, you'd be more than happy to close your short because, okay, maybe we're back in the bull market. But since we died off 6,000, the lower prices have been pulling that average down towards us. I think it's around 6,800 now. And what that means is, you know, if you have enough coins on the exchange where your liquidation price is, you know, 66 to 7,000, and you leave enough on there that you should never ever get liquidated. You should always close your position yourself because then you keep your margin. You don't lose your collateral. Whatever coins you need to protect your value that you want in US dollars, and move your liquidation price over the 200-day moving average a couple percent is what I would do if I were in that position. So or you could just put more on there, but then you just have more counterparty risk. If this place that's never been hacked in many years eventually does, then you would get screwed. So you don't want to put more on any exchange than you have to.
Gotcha. And what's kind of your thoughts on blockchain in general? I know that I've heard a couple of different perspectives from you, and you know, it's a little concerning for the community. But you know, are you a big believer in blockchain or just you know in certain cryptos?
Blockchain is garbage. Everyone wants to get rich. That's what we all want. Okay, this stuff's been around for 10 years. It ain't changed the world. It made some people rich. Okay, since 20K down to 3K, it made some people poor too. All right. So digital ledger technology, you want to make a better Excel spreadsheet for banks and accountants, have fun with that, but it doesn't require economic mass. They can get all the benefits from your cool digital ledger technology by not buying many of the coins. Anonymity technology, you can get all the benefits by not buying many of the coins. You just cycle the same little bit over and over and over again. Okay, now that's anonymous. Okay, now that's anonymous. Okay, now that's anonymous, right? So anonymity coins and digital ledger technology don't require economic mass to perform their function. Replacement for currency, digital gold, requires a shitload of economic mass. So if you're going to create a new coin, trying to replace gold is the highest market cap thing you could possibly do. Trying to be just a payment network is not worth that much. So gold's worth $7.7 trillion. Last I checked a couple weeks ago.
It's almost
PayPal. Yeah. PayPal plus Visa plus MasterCard is worth less than 10 times less.
Yeah.
So it's better to be
800 billion. Yeah.
Yeah. It's better to be a store of value than it is to be a payment network, which is why the token that I designed, I believe, does that better than Bitcoin. We'll see soon. So a lot of projects are garbage, and they don't do stuff that shouldn't be done. And there's no adoption, right? Ethereum, the world computer, has less power than a calculator on your phone. literally, because that's what I'm building my project in. So I know exactly how bad it sucks. And, you know, Bitcoin can't do that many transactions. It can do like 3 to 5 transactions a second. So it would take like 1,000 years to open up like one channel for everyone's Lightning app. Like, blockchain's got a lot of problems, man. Like, it's not all roses out there.
Yeah, I mean, most people just came into the space in the past year for for speculation, for money, for quick, just to kind of like get rich quick. But there's some projects out there that have been doing this for a while, and when you look at Bitcoin, it works. When you look at places like Venezuela, where they've got Digibyte and Dash, that's being used over there by tons of their citizens just to pay for goods and services. You can see in countries like that there is a real use case for it. Obviously here in the U.S. We don't need that yet. We have Visa, MasterCard, we've got bank accounts, but you can really see where the underbanked can really use stuff like this. And I know that you're endorsing crypto, so obviously it's not all bad. But for blockchain, I mean, what do you think about just for automation, for land registry, for private chains for big business?
Terrible. I mean, look, every one of those use cases you just described is already perfectly well served by either the new Amazon Web Services blockchain thing or a regular database where you just require people to all agree that a cell is what they say it is, with like having a password protected write access to a database and requiring that X number of signers say yes. That's been done for forever, right? And having a record of what the previous states of the database were, right? Like having backups and hashing them, that's been around forever. Like, this shit's not new or exciting, none of that, right? The censorship resistance is the only thing that you need a blockchain for ever. It is the slowest, least reliable, most expensive database in the entire world. It is the crappiest imaginable thing you could ever build any project on, ever. The only reason you should ever use a blockchain is if you need censorship resistance. If no one is trying to censor the crap you're doing, if you just need to remember the past, we've got that figured out already for 50 years, right? If you just want to make sure people aren't cheating, we've got that figured out for 50 years. We have logs. You're like, hey, you lied. Look, it's in the logs, right? Like, blockchain's good for censorship resistance, and that's it. Or I guess selling ICOs with hype and buzzwords and crap.
So I guess, what do you think about like XRP and Tron and EOS and ADA? What's your thoughts there?
If you're okay with a federated network that never gets attacked by governments, then federation is faster, right? So distributed means lots of failover. Oh, they took out China. Okay, we're still working. Federated means, we got like 10 or 20 nodes, and as long as they don't get 10 of them, we'll be okay. But the idea behind crypto is that they're coming to get you, right? Some bad people are going to come screw you up, right? And sometimes that happens. Like eGold existed, and then they stopped existing. And Liberty Dollar existed, and then they stopped existing. And then some of these ICOs that had the word bank, like Arise Bank, they existed, and then the SEC was like, no, you can't just put bank in your company name. That's not legal.
Yeah. Or exchange. That's coming.
Maybe, yeah. So it may already be there, but I don't think it is. So the reason I mention these things is you either have censorship resistance or you do not. If you do not, well, then how sucky are you, right? And so I think there's 21 block producers or 27 block producers in EOS. If you get like 14 of them or 7 of them, I think you can wreck their system. Okay.
Kind of like they did to Ethereum.
Well, Ethereum was different. The community was a lot smaller, and a lot of the guys.
What I mean is, with their ICO, they basically took all the payments in Ether, and then they dumped it. So
you mean block one with the EOS launch dumping the Ether? Yeah. Well, they're going to dump EOS too. They're selling their 10% that are left over some year, I think, of staking period. Yeah, they did it right if they want to get rich and like. Yeah, we got billions, and you guys have no right to any work from the future, so we could just stop if we wanted to, and you guys would just cry. That's probably not the right way to set up a business, where the founders can just be like, yeah, we're going on vacation. Screw yourselves. It's an open source project. You guys do it on your own now. But what about the $4 billion we gave you? We're busy. Maybe we'll do it, never.
Yeah, where is that $4 billion? I don't see it going back into the ecosystem. But
I tried so hard to talk people out of stupid ICOs and stupid coins, and they don't listen. So the only thing I can do is take pleasure in their loss, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I think that people, there's some real people out there trying to do real good things, and then there's other people that just try to take advantage of the space. And so, if you support the projects that are trying to bring true utility to the space to allow cryptocurrency to be easy for people to use, I think there's some real value there. Obviously, second layer solutions for Bitcoin to speed things up. That way, it's not just garbage and slow and a couple transactions a second, stuff like that. But I think all that's coming is just, it takes us time to build it. And if everybody just looks at the space over the past year and they're like, hey, we raised all this money, where's the tech? It's like, dude, this stuff takes a minute to build. So hopefully your opinion of blockchain will change once you start seeing some cool stuff coming out. That
I'm okay with it just going up in price. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with digital gold. I'm okay with low transaction throughput. I'm okay with high fees. I'm okay with all that stuff. Like, digital gold's good enough for me. It's a bigger market.
Okay. What about like XRP? Just for
so it's just even less federation, right? So EOS is slightly faster, and then you get a quorum of 21 dudes. It's like, maybe we'll take your money, maybe we won't. And sometimes they do take your money. So there's people that have had their money just taken. Apparently they were hackers, but we'll never really know because they never got the actual jury of their peers, did they? Right? So they just reinvented the default judgment. Is that innovation? I don't think it is, right? So now what's XRP? Less federation. There's one company that can roll back whatever transactions they want.
So for the masses to really start using cryptocurrency, don't you kind of need a little layer of customer support, you think, for the noobs? Or just a free-for-all, just battle royale, just figure it all out on your own? Here's
that's
the
what Bitcoin is. It's the largest market cap.
Yeah.
And if you install a wallet, it begs and pleads and cries with you to write your private key down. I mean, you have dick pics of your dick on your computer, and you must protect them. So if you're already protecting your dick pics, put your private keys right next to them. Computer security is a part of life now, right? And by the way, if you just write your seed down on some paper and put it in a safety deposit box, or better yet, stamp it in some aluminum and put it in a safety deposit box, well, that, like, what else can we do to make this easier for you? If you're too stupid to put, however many number of words in some place where you can't lose them, I can't help you.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a way to make it easier for everybody. I think it's coming, and then you'll see it, and you'll be like, okay.
Well, that's what Coinbase is. I mean, that's what exchanges are now. Like, everyone just losing money on the exchange anyway.
There'll be some decentralized solutions that make things easier, I would imagine, with maybe a tiny layer of customer support, something centralized, on the customer support side, all the financial stuff decentralized. I see that coming, but we are definitely a ways away from it. What do you think about like Charles Hoskinson and ADA?
They're fooling around with cool programming stuff, but that's not the problem we have. The blocks are empty. No one wants to use this crap for anything. So making the crap suck differently or suck slightly less with no adoption, great. It's like, you can do smart contracts with less bugs. Yeah, but EOS launched a $4 billion project on an ERC20 token, and that worked just fine for them. So apparently, if you don't do anything too exciting or too stupid, it works well enough now. And I bet however way you try and improve it, you find out it wasn't as good as you thought it was, and you get to be the guy that loses the money first. So it's not easy to improve things that are at the cutting edge of technology or computer science, and people are just solving the wrong problems. We don't need more throughput. We need adoption. We don't need more verifiability in the smart contracts. We need more auditing of the smart contracts we already got.
Yeah, I mean, as far with adoption, it's going to be tough everybody's just trying to find a reason for blockchain at this point. But I think once we start seeing, some different dApp solutions that are just riding on top of the chains that are as simple as using centralized services and things like that, maybe a game, maybe, buying skins for video games, maybe just, tipping people like on, Kick, things like that, I think are really going to, help start driving adoption. And then you'll start seeing the real use cases for it come out.
I think it's wish thinking. So
Yeah.
if you're any centralized, yeah, sure. So here, which would I prefer? That I'm World of Warcraft and I make items cost whatever I want and I print the money and I can sell the money whenever I want for whatever I want. That sounds like a pretty good deal. Or crypto, where I invent this game, I make all these cool items, but the money, I can't inflate the supply because it's crypto now. Or I can inflate the supply and there was no reason for it to be crypto, right? So you're crippling the ability of the person making the content to make more money on the content, right? Like, hey, maybe it's Christmas. Maybe we want to have a 2-for-1 sale on these things. Nope, can't do it because crypto. It's all immutable and shit now, right? So, like, it's so slow.
I think we're
so
judging it off of
crappy.
what it is now, not what it's going to be. But that's
It'll
just
always
my
be that way. A centralized thing will always outperform in cost and ability a thing that is decentralized.
But there could be a mix of both. You could have one platform that's partially centralized with the customer support, but then all the cool stuff that you want to keep secret and you want to keep to yourself could be decentralized of sorts.
You could have
I've
a
seen
car
a
with
couple.
5 wheels. Sounds cool. Why not? Throw a 5th wheel in there, dude. You make left turns really good. Sure, you could do it, but it doesn't make any sense. This shit's been around for 10 years, and no one's ever done that, and it's never worked for anyone, ever.
Give it
So
time, my
what
brother.
the
Give
fuck?
it time.
Like,
So, I mean, for 10 years, okay, well, we've had, what's kind of your take on market manipulation? Like, what do you think that these ETFs, are a good thing for the space? Do you think it's cool that people can basically, just like the Federal Reserve, just start printing money, printing Bitcoins? Do you think that's going to hurt the price long term? Do you think it's going to help?
If this stuff had a lot of utility and was getting used everywhere, and the ATMs were larger in quantity instead of fewer, and people accepting it were larger in quantity instead of fewer, and the price was going down, you'd be like, all right, maybe there's some manipulation here. But we did a 20x in 1 year with no adoption whatsoever. So I think this might not be market manipulation.
We didn't have
I
any
think
product,
this might be
though.
a bubble pop.
There was nothing that worked other than basically just the ability to buy and sell and trade tokens and coins,
which is enough. That's enough. It's
and then as soon as they turned
thing.
off the payment, as soon as they turned off the fiat on ramps, for people to be able to buy Bitcoin, it crashed.
Well, I don't think they'll do that now. I think there's enough people in the powers that be that own crypto that would prefer to see it do well. We got listed on the CME, the largest market in human history. So if there is another bull run, I expect that place to make a lot of money. So
do you worry about what they've done in the past when they basically put out an ETF of sorts with like gold, uranium, silver? They tame them, right?
I'm a little bit worried about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what I worry about is when you start getting big people like that in the space.
You look at the chart in uranium, and you're like, oh, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look good.
Look at silver. Look at gold, man.
Yeah, but none of that shit has any utility either. You're like that. You ain't doing shit with uranium, dude. Yeah. And you're not doing shit with silver either. Yeah, but the new store value that has better utility is better than the old store value that was already overvalued and got replaced by a newer thing that had more utility.
Unless but I mean, true. But with gold and silver, yes, it's a pain in the ass to transport, but it's tangible, it's real. You can hold it in your hands. You get a EMP, or you lose power, or you lose your phone, you lost your Bitcoin.
Maybe it's filled with tungsten. How do you know? Right?
Oh, true. Yeah. I mean, okay.
I know how to test it. I don't think
Sure.
most people do. I have a fish set of gold coin verification tools. I don't think most people do. So gold's worth $7.7 trillion. Should it be? I think Bitcoin should take some of that.
I think it will. Yeah, I definitely think it will. No, I was just saying that gold and silver is actually something you can hold in the palm of your hand, whereas Bitcoin and things like that, it is digital. So I'm just saying that gold and silver will always have a place.
Maybe. I'm more towards gold than silver. I hate silver as a metal. It tarnishes. I don't like metals
it's a consumable though. Yeah, I mean, it's in all the electronics, like you said, people even drink it and turn blue. So it is a consumable. But so you're a little bit worried about the ETFs, a little bit worried about do you think Bakkt is?
But remember, it's not an ETF. We don't have an ETF. What we have are futures products.
Futures, yeah. True. What do you think about Bakkt? Do you think they're actually going to deliver physically backed, Bitcoin?
I'm never going to care again about what some new exchange thing does until I see volume out of it. I just couldn't care. It's a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Oh, you're opening a new exchange? Great. I'm going to sell the day you open.
Yeah, I mean, it is backed
learn
by
my lesson on CME. We did pump for CBOE. We dumped.
Yeah, that's the highest we ever hit.
Well, CME was the highest we ever hit.
Yeah.
CBOE
it was in a span of like a week, right?
Earlier. I think it was.
Wasn't it just like 5 days, 7 days different between the two?
I think it was 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so. So we pumped for CBOE. We dumped on CME. Ledger X did dog shit volume. They still do terrible volume. CME volume has picked up quite a bit. I think they might do more volume than Coinbase now, which, that's good. That's fine.
Yeah, that is impressive. So maybe what's your thoughts on stablecoins? That's another one of the reasons why I think crypto isn't really used is people are really afraid of the volatility, right? So I mean, if you've got say a bag of Bitcoin and you want to go out and you want to buy a new shirt, right? And you pay $30 for it today, and tomorrow it's worth $3,000 because maybe Bakkt comes out and your Bitcoin pumps. Nobody wants to spend that. And so I see a lot of problems with the existing stable coins, but what do you think about one in the future that is truly pegged, truly backed by something that truly works, that allows people in third world countries and people right here in the US to basically get paid in these stable coins to be able to hold their wealth and to be able to use it versus just speculation all the time?
Well, we already have stable coins. They're called dollars, and they're in your bank, and you send them around digitally, and they don't really have physical form.
But it's lost 99% of its value too. I mean,
so
Federal Reserve back in 1913.
Your coin pegged to it would lose as much or more plus counterparty risk, right? So if you're going to have a stable coin, it's not actually stable. It's stable to a piece of shit, which you've just listed, the dollar, right? So what you're getting is the worst of all worlds. You're getting the worst of value storage in the dollar, which loses 5% every year, plus the counterparty risk that you've got a entity that prints the stable coins and takes your real money to do it, and then they have a bank, and the same bank that would fuck them is the same bank that you could have had a direct relationship with without them in the middle. So putting extra middlemen in the system between banks and users is not good. It's not what we're trying to do here. It's the opposite of what we're trying to do here, right? So stable coins are all of the suck of a dollar, plus all of the suck of the bank, plus some other guy in a shady jurisdiction that you can't sue in the middle of you two. It's garbage.
I can't disagree, man, with that in the current state. But don't you think that we need something that is going to be truly, reliable, that is stable for people to actually start using crypto, as a method of payment, not speculation?
No. So no. the reason that paying in crypto sucks is not because of the stability. The reason that paying in crypto sucks is because of the extra middlemen. You work a job. Your job pays you dollars. You have a house. You pay rent. You pay rent in dollars. People paying you at your job have a bank account. The person that accepts your rent has a bank account. You're not going to get more efficient than taking that money and giving it to that guy. That's the most efficient. Now, here's what's less efficient. I could have taken your money, but I won't because I'm a crypto guy. So instead, I'm going to pay the bid-ask spread and fees and wait a couple hours and hope the copy-paste went right and hope there wasn't any forks and hope my client doesn't need updated and hope it didn't silently fail because there was a fork and the client didn't let me know. And then, so now I've lost 2% of my money by turning it from dollars at my business that paid me into my personal bank account. Then I go to the exchange and pay another 2%. Then I send those crypto units to my rent acceptor, the landlord. Then he goes to his exchange, gets fucked for 2% also to sell that garbage coin that he can't do anything with to get cash, right? So you can't turn cash into crypto, pay 2%, wait a bunch of hours and hope it works, and then give it to some other guy who has to sell it on exchange and get fucked for 2% and wait a bunch of hours and hope it works. There's 4% missing in a whole bunch of hours. There's nothing you could ever do to improve crypto to make cash to cash work better. Ever. Never. You can't throw extra shit in the middle and make it work better. And it's worse with credit cards. With credit cards, you get chargeback protection and you get money fucking back. So you don't just lose 4% versus credit card. You lose like 5.5% versus credit card, depending on what you what kind of deal you have with your issuer. So no, like all crypto will always suck for fiat to fiat transactions. So you need to do it for what it's actually useful for. You want to buy stuff on the darknet? Well, Bitcoin's useless there too because it's 100% trackable. So what would you be better served by, Monero or cash? You'd be better off sending an envelope with cash in it. So.
Yeah, I mean that's what the big bankers have been doing, right? You just saw, what was it, Deutsche Bank? They just got caught laundering all that money. So they've been keeping that going for since the beginning. So that's
well, it's always going to be that way because knowing your customer is extremely hard, and if your customer decides to want to act like somebody else, you're never going to be able to detect that. So even if a bank wasn't shady as hell and tried really, really hard, the amount of effort they can put in to detect that stuff will always be less than the people that need those services and will just pay other people that have good names to act on their behalf. So it's just not a winnable game, truthfully.
So for people that don't have a bank, right? So basically everything you just kind of explained, I get it, for the Western world makes sense. But for people that don't have access to that, you're telling me that like using Nano or Stellar or hell, even Ripple, with a decentralized wallet, peer-to-peer, they would get instant, currency back and forth and be able to pay for goods and services. You don't see a need for that?
Not at all. I have sent money to people that needed money.
What do you tell the people in Venezuela, about their government and their banks and their dictators and all that stuff that is, just extinguished their currency?
Yeah, it sucks, but you can't. So if a person's sick, right, their body has to be healthy enough for you to cure them. Otherwise, they die from the cure. Like when you find somebody in a prison of war camp that's been starving, if you feed them too much, they straight up die. So you have to feed them a very small amount slowly or it kills them. And currencies and governments are the same way. If your government is so fucked up that there's not bread on the shelves anymore, crypto can't help you or save you. You're wrecked. You can't get your money out to the crypto anymore. It's lost, right? So when I hear these stories about Dash and Bitcoin miners in other countries, the economic mass of all that bullshit is like pitiful. It's like less than like 7-Eleven's milkshake sales for the day, or like it's all, we tripled our volume. Yeah, but your volume was like $20. Like
you got to start somewhere though, right? I mean,
no, like you don't. If something's been around for a year, you can get exponential sick as fuck growth, just like every app on a phone gets, right? Just like every other technology that gets widely adopted, like any popular social network or like WhatsApp or so many other technologies that went from nothing to something really, really fast. You could do that, but crypto's not doing that.
Well, just like anything, it takes time, right? But that's one of the things that I really admire about you is your different perspective than what everybody else is currently saying out there in the space. So it's always cool, man, to hear different things. So with your project now, so you've got BitcoinHEX. It sounds great. Basically,
Thanks.
You just no problem. It just it sounds great. Basically, you hold Bitcoin. That could be a problem for people, but for
you only have to own it for one block. You only have to own it for 10 minutes.
Gotcha.
If you own Bitcoin for 10 minutes, you can sell that shit right after.
For people that are wrecked and they don't have any money, could be that could be an issue for them, right? But for everybody that's holding Bitcoin, or is able to, I guess go on Bitmex and maybe do some leverage trading or something like that, at that moment they would receive BitcoinHEX.
So here's how that works. Everyone that has Bitcoin in a normal address or Bech32 address, which nobody's going to understand what that means, they'll have the ability, as long as they own their own private keys, they'll have the ability to claim these free tokens. If you have your money on an exchange, it's very unlikely that you'll be getting your free tokens. If you have your money on Bitmex, it's very unlikely you'll be getting your free tokens. Now there's a trick. There's a trick you could use if you're an advanced person. You could buy a bunch of Bitcoin in spot, take possession of it yourself, have it when the snapshot occurs at that block height. Okay, snapshot happened at this time. Cool. Let's get rid of that crap. Send it back to the exchange, get rid of it. And for that 10 minutes that you held the coins, you could protect yourself from the risk of that 10 minutes by opening up a leverage short on Bitmex at the same time. if you really cared about the risk of those 10 minutes. Probably it's not worth all that effort.
What about the transaction fees back and forth? What would that be on something like that?
Really depends on the exchange you were using and how much the price moved while you were using it. So that's why I was mentioning you could open up a short at the exact same time.
Sure.
It's been so long since I touched crypto to fiat, I don't really know what exchange percent you'd be paying. Earlier in this conversation, I quoted 2%. I was probably rounding up a bit, maybe 0.5%. It depends on the exchange you're using. If you use a dog shit exchange, it could be 10%. If you use a good exchange, it could be 0.25%, maybe. Maybe more. I'd have to look up the fee schedules. I know some of them increase them. Like apparently Gemini has very high fees now. I'm not sure what Coinbase's fees are.
Okay. And then, in the past, I know that you'd kind of given, Roger Ver, a hard time for using, the name Bitcoin and then cash, right? Because there's a little bit of confusion there, right? So you actually have, it's called BitcoinHEX, if I remember right. And you guys are actually running it on Ethereum, right? So is it just for branding, just to get the name out there?
So I don't actually like the Bitcoin brand that much, particularly since it just took a shit from 20K to 3K. I don't think it's a good name to have on a project at this point after the death, right? Unfortunately, because of the way that we're launching, where the only people that can get the tokens are Bitcoin holders, it means that the only audience that's useful to have whatsoever are Bitcoin holders. So since the only people that can actually interact with the system from its onset are Bitcoin holders, you can't buy these things on exchange. They're not listed on exchange. You have to be a Bitcoin holder to get them. Maybe they'll be listed one day and then you could buy them with cash or trade some other thing for it. But as it stands, they're just for Bitcoin holders. So as long as that's the case, having Bitcoin in the name is like pretty useful. As soon as the claims like went down in volume, I'd be more than happy to just call it Hex or Strape, or Strape is the name of a chat room I have. We got 5,000 people on regular chat, 1,600 people on trading chat. It's good fun. Strawberry grape, Strape.
Cool. So maybe kind of talk a little bit about, how it actually works. So now I've got the, the BitcoinHEX. I held a bunch of Bitcoin. I get the BitcoinHEX. Now I control it. I own it. What's the incentive for me to keep it, basically?
So
not just dump it,
Yeah. In normal Bitcoin, you can buy it, you can sell it, and that's about it. You can't do anything else with it. When you open up your client, it literally just says like send or receive. That's it. That's all you can do with Bitcoin. This thing is much cooler. First, it might be more secure. Ethereum's never had an inflation bug, and even if it did have an inflation bug, it wouldn't affect the value of these tokens. Bitcoin has had inflation bugs and just recently dodged another one. And what that means is inflation bug means just a whole bunch of extra money appears to someone that shouldn't have got it. So we also don't have this 51% attack crap that's going on with smaller Bitcoin ventures like Bitcoin Cash. So this will be a more secure fork. It will also not have a free rider problem, where Satoshi has the ability to dump 5% of all the Bitcoin Cash in the world whenever he wants, because he has the keys to them, right? There's no reason to give somebody a whole bunch of your project so that once you've made it really successful and invented all this cool new stuff that they helped nothing at all with, that they can come dump on the heads of the people who believed in it from the beginning. There's no value to that crap. So having freeloaders and forks is terribly stupid. So in this system, if you're a whale, you get penalized. If you have 1,000 coins or more in your wallet, you lose half of them, up to 75% of them if you have 10K plus coins, 10,000 plus.
How does that work again? So, this isn't really a fork. This is Ethereum. So when I think fork, I think you're taking Bitcoin, and you're SHA-256, bang, now you got your own chain. But this is not a fork, really.
It depends on how you look at it. So we're forking the UTXO set, but we're not forking any of the consensus network or stuff after that. So the only thing that we're taking from Bitcoin is the holders, the Bitcoin holders, the balances and owners, and that's it. And everything else is Ethereum stuff. But I don't even mostly mention Ethereum that much, because as long as it's trustless and it works right, it doesn't really matter this other token that's unrelated. I guess you'll have to have a little bit to like pay for your transaction. So I guess it'll have to be mentioned in there. But all I need, it's the most trustless, working, tested, integrated way to launch a new token, and it is vastly superior to any Bitcoin fork or any fork of anything else because they all have low hash rate and get attacked.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you, man. So far, the forks we've seen of Bitcoin, they're not an improvement whatsoever, in my opinion.
No. Yeah.
But I think the OG is still best. So it's
maybe
it's good that you
but you can't. So
Dogecoin's
you've got freeloader problems, right? Satoshi can come dump your coin to fucking nothing whenever he wants. If he spends a nickel from his old wallet, the price is going to die. Mt. Gox has 128,000 coins that they're going to dump or give to other people to dump in the next year. Okay.
Can't disagree, man.
Roger Ver and Jihan might have to unload some of their bags to pay for all these bills they've incurred during the bull run, right? BitcoinHEX doesn't have any of those problems, right? We get rid of Bitmain's addresses. We get rid of Roger's addresses. We get rid of Calvin's addresses. We get rid of CSW addresses. They're out of the UTXO set. If I can find them, they're out. They don't get to play. They don't get to come to our party, right? Mt. Gox doesn't get to play. Out. Satoshi, he can claim. He can play. But he's got 50 weeks to sign and prove. And if he don't claim in 50 weeks, all his coins get given to the people that did claim.
I'm sure Wright will get right on that.
I'm not sure he's got any Bitcoin, so we don't have much to worry about probably.
I was kidding.
So we don't have the free rider problem. We don't have the security problem. We have a feature that's never been had before. If you're given programmable money, what's the first thing you should program? Interest. Do you know of any other crypto program that has a CD analog, a certificate of deposit analog like they have in a bank, where the longer you lock, the more you get paid?
Celsius Network.
There you go. You know more about this stuff than me. How much do you make?
I think it's like 8% on Ethereum, like 3% on most cryptos.
How long?
I think you can basically just, I'm trying to remember the exact in and outs of it. Alex was just sharing it with me. I want to say that it's for like a year, but
okay. I'm pretty sure you're going to make more on this one, but we'll see, right? So in this system, in a normal Bitcoin new token system, all of the new tokens get given to miners who pretend to secure the network against attacks that never really come. Bitcoin Cash has been a big piece of crap for how long? With marginal hash rate, 6% of Bitcoin's hash rate, hasn't been 51% attacked. Still hasn't been 51% attacked, even after his hash rate got cut in half again. Where are the attacks? Why are we paying all of this massive inflation to these miners that protect us against these things that don't occur, right? Yeah. So instead of giving money for fake security to miners, we give the money to the holders that actually provide real value, right? If you want real security in crypto, you need auditing of your code because that's where the attacks are coming from. Or you need good legislation because governments will be another bigger threat. 51% attacks aren't real threats.
No, you're right. Yeah, laws are our biggest threat. But and then some of the newer chains and things like that haven't been really tried and tested. I always question the code. I'm like, who's auditing this stuff, right? You guys are spending all this money buying all these tokens and coins that may be worth nothing because the person that wrote this code wasn't thoroughly audited. So like, I'm not really worried about Ethereum. I mean, they get hacked and attacked all the time, and they're still there. They got the world's largest development community. I'm not worried about like Komodo. I'm not worried about like Bitcoin. Stuff like that is like really solid, even stellar. But so I can't disagree with you, man, as far as running on Ethereum.
Well, Ethereum, the network itself, hasn't been hacked or had an inflation bug. All the people that have used it have had the shit hacked out of them. Big difference, right? So if you use the tool improperly, you can shoot yourself in the foot or hang yourself because the rope is given to you.
Sure.
But the actual rope has worked well enough. It's as a matter of fact,
smart contract's only as smart as the guy that writes it, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And
even
if you're smart, it's still software's hard, right?
Sure. But it's Turing complete, so you basically can make it do whatever you want.
Yep.
But if you're an idiot and you program it wrong, well then that's the problem, not Ethereum.
Yeah. Well, there's some small problems in Ethereum, but they're known now, right? Like there's a list of don't do this or bad things happen. And that didn't exist when it first came out. But the majority of problems was from stupid stuff that should have never happened. So you would get rid of the freeloaders. We pay people rewards for holding and holding longer instead of mining.
So how does that work? So say I get a big bag.
Yep.
I've got my bag of hex, and I'm
Yep.
like, you know what? I don't want to spend it. I
Yep.
just want to make money with it. So I'm going to
Yep.
keep it here for a year, 5 years, 10 years. What
Sure.
am I looking at?
So every extra year you lock up, you get paid an extra 20% shares. And then those shares are of the global interest pool. And the inflation pool is 3.69% for every 360 days. And that gets divided up against everyone that's staked. So if you're the only guy that staked and you owned 1% of all the coins, you'd get 370% APR a year. I don't think only 1% of people will stake, particularly since that's how you get Satoshi's coins. Only people that staked get those distributed to them every week for the 50 weeks. It's not just Satoshi, it's everybody that didn't claim, right? So if you want to be a member of that group that's making interest and getting all the coins that were unclaimed, you need to be locked, you need to be staked. If you want to get the bonuses, so the more people that claim and the larger they claim, we amplify the rewards for the early people so that they have a reason to want to tell people about it, right? So if we didn't have that system, you'd be like, oh, well, people that don't claim, I get their coins, well, then I'll just claim and not tell anyone about it. We cancel that out by amplifying the rewards. The more people that claim and the larger they claim. You only get that if you're staked. And so like if you locked up 1 Bitcoin worth of hex on the first week, first you'd get 1 million hex for each Bitcoin. It's 1 million to 1 ratio. So we have smaller units like Ripple and stuff.
What's the total supply?
Well,
I mean, I know it's
a function
inflationary.
of how many people claim, right? If more people claim and get more bonuses earlier, then the currency inflates to reward those people. Only 8 million addresses can claim though, because a lot of addresses are multi-sig, which can't claim, or they have whale-sized wallets, which get penalized. And so you end up with about 8 million coins that can be claimed of the 17 million. But after all the inflation and stuff, you know, maybe the supply is like 21, it would be 21 million times a million, which is 21 trillion?
It's a lot of zeros.
21, I think it's 21 trillion.
That's my pay grade. I don't know.
Yeah.
I need a calculator.
So the point is, you reward the people that get in early. If they don't get in early, they lose their coins. If you lock for longer, you get more shares, which crowds out the people that locked for less long. So if you're the first guy that like stakes in the first week, you're going to get paid massive because no one else is staking yet. So you're getting like the maximum possible distribution from people that didn't claim through the We're All Satoshi thing. You're getting the maximum possible share of the interest because you don't have to share that giant stack of interest with anyone else because no one's staked yet. And you're getting the 10% bonus for signing up early, which falls to 0 over the 50 weeks. Like everything is made to make you really want to claim and claim first, or you'll get a lot less. If you don't claim the first week, you're already missing 2% of your stack. You're missing 0.2% of your speed bonus. You missed a week of We Are All Satoshi payout. You missed a week of interest. Like you really want to claim the first week.
So maybe walk us through how would we claim this? I mean, we're going to control our private keys, obviously,
Yep.
right? So,
yeah. So all you do is you go to bitcoinhex.com and there'll be a window that lets you paste in your Bitcoin address. Then it will generate a statement for you. And that statement you will copy and paste into your wallet and sign it, and then copy
you
and
got some
paste it back.
Dogecoin back there?
Yeah, I got a little puppy. I got a little tiny chihuahua that likes to bark rarely, as you can hear.
I got a poodle right here at my feet that follows me everywhere. So.
I saw it in your picture and your About Us on YouTube. It looks cool.
Always at my feet.
That is a cute dog right there, man. So all you do is you go to the site. You can use Tor. You don't have to give up your anonymity or anything. You paste your Bitcoin address. It looks up how many coins you're supposed to be claiming. It makes your signature statement thing. You copy paste it your wallet. You sign it. You copy paste it back. You submit. You're done. You have your Bitcoin hex.
Do you require our name or email address? Because this would be a very creative way to basically link addresses.
Sure, yeah. You know, if if there was any money in that shit, someone could really care about what your address is, and like, but who do you sell that to? Like, who cares?
Government.
They're not buying. Like, there's no money in it. And I think everyone's already fucked that up anyway. Like, if you ever actually used your Bitcoin before, everyone already knows where you live anyway. Like, they can tell which node first tried to propagate the transaction because it's all honeypotted up already. Like, if you use Bitcoin, it's very likely everyone knows what's up with your ass already. So, like, unless you mined it yourself and then never did anything with it, you're probably already not as anonymous as you think you are. But if you want to maintain whatever anonymity you think you have, you don't need to send any Bitcoin transactions whatsoever. You just need to sign a statement, and you can do it over Tor, and then nobody knows what your IP address is. Nothing moved on chain. You know, you got some tokens to an Ethereum address. You know, no risk.
But you don't require email or username or
nothing.
Okay.
Nothing at all. As a matter of fact, all these emails that we collect on the site to let people know when they need to be ready, like, hey, we're gonna have a snapshot here. Hey, our testnet's ready. We've never sent an email ever, not one, because there's no reason to right now. You know, when there's something really cool that people can play with, we're gonna email the list and say, hey guys, it's time, get ready.
All right. And then as far as, you know, the tokens, I guess, these would be tokens.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, there's a referral network too. So you get 5%. So when you give someone the link to the site, you just slap your Ethereum address at the top right corner, like slash that address, and then you get 5% of whatever somebody claimed.
So you're giving people, you know, all the different reasons to basically hold on to the coins and tell their friends and family about it. So it's a kind of a bounty of sorts. Yeah, that's cool. All right.
If there's any single Pumpamental that is missing, I'd be very surprised. They're all here.
Covering all the bases.
They're all here.
Making sure people try to get it, use it.
Yeah. Well, it should be better. If it's true that all these things do is store value, and that their only reason for existing is to be censorship resistance, I'm pretty sure this game theory is better than any other token I've seen. So why wouldn't it go top 3? Like,
yeah, no, we just got to make it a little bit easier for people to understand.
Yeah,
you know, that's I would come up with some bullet points. It's like you get X, Y, and Z. Here's why.
True.
You know, here's why you need it. Because there's a lot of moving pieces with it. I see it. You know, I have to like really focus.
I think it'll be easier once the claim phase is over. Like once the claim phase is over, most of these bonuses go away. There's just a thing that you stake and you get more, and then there's a cool chart that shows when other people's stakes are expiring, so we know what the actual supply is. And if you emergency unstake, half of your penalty that you pay goes to the people that didn't unstake. So there's some game theory in there where if you are honest about how long you're going to stake, you're doing great. But if you lie and take a bunch of extra shares because you said you were going to stake for longer and then you didn't, well, then you get penalized and that money goes to people that were truthful. It's pretty neat.
It is. And then as far as staking it, I mean, just basically hold it in an ERC-20 compliant, you know, wallet, or how does that work? How are you going to monitor if in fact they...
Well, when you tell the contract how long you want to stake and how many coins you want to stake, it literally takes those coins from your possession and puts them in the contract's possession. So you don't have them anymore. And then one day when the stake has expired, or if you want to do it early, you call the contract again and say, hey, I want to end the stake. And then it does the math.
So automated smart contracts per every address, huh?
Well, there's no automation. There's absolutely no automation in Ethereum. You can't even set an alarm clock with Ethereum. In order to do anything on Ethereum, you have to ask the computer to do something, and then it will do it, as long as you paid. So there is absolutely no automation. When your stake ends, you need to claim your money or there's a penalty. After a 2-week period, you'll start paying a penalty, because there's no automation. Now, anyone can call that function. So anyone else in the entire world could call it for you and be a nice guy and update the state of your contract to claimed, right? But you should be responsible and also make sure that it's claimed yourself. You shouldn't like leave it up to the rest of the world.
You're gonna need a how-to video for this.
I know.
You're gonna need to dumb this down in crayon for people.
There's nothing simple in crypto.
Yeah. Yeah, we need this in crayon with little charts and little cartoon characters and.
I like that. Like getting someone to sign the statement is going to take a video. for every wallet. I'm thinking of actually opening up a call center just to do phone support for it. I think it's viable.
Yeah, I mean,
as long as people had credit card and were willing to pay to have someone walk them through it.
yeah, I mean, if you look at like Bitcoin Cash SV, right? They basically created a crypto, off the back of Bitcoin Cash. They now have a top 10 crypto. So I would imagine.
Don't say that. They don't have a top 10 crypto. Don't say it.
Well, on CoinMarketCap, as far as tech, they don't even have a blockchain, right? You can't even look at it on GitHub. But as far as market cap, isn't it top 10?
Yeah. Well, it's just the market cap, man.
Yeah.
Like,
well, if you're in the top 10 on CoinMarketCap, that's all I simply meant. I didn't mean it's like a top 10 like this is something you would use. It's actually number 7. So yeah, as far as volume, but anyway, so I like the idea that you're rewarding Bitcoin holders. That's obviously going to drive some adoption. Are you going to be actively trying to find exchanges for this, or you think that just because
there's
Bitcoin,
this
it'll be put on them?
There's this thing called the Howey test, and the Howey test says that something is a security if you pay money for it to a central pool with an expectation of profit from the work of others, right?
Yeah.
So
this is free.
This is free.
Okay, check.
You can't buy it. It's also a smart contract that can't be changed. So there can be no work done to the project. Once it's written and pushed, that's over. No one can ever change it. There's no secret backdoor where some other person can change anything. It's locked, which is better than Bitcoin, by the way. Bitcoin keeps getting changed, right? Like, we're going to have bigger blocks, smaller blocks.
Sure.
We don't have that.
Checkpoints, all this stuff, yeah. Yeah, I always worry about that, but they do have some of the best and brightest working on the code. But yeah, I always worry about every release that comes out if there was something that they missed. So It's not like it was, Satoshi that just wrote it once, it works, and everybody uses it. It's constantly getting updated. And a lot of people don't know that. Yep. So maybe the 1% of us that are in crypto know that, but everybody else, they just think it's out there and it doesn't change. So that is a little scary. How many tokens are you going to actually hold, of this? Because a lot of people are going to say, well, Richard, you're only just doing this to get rich, right? So what do you got? 51% of the supply?
So if I were the origin contract holder, which would be nice, because that contract address is gonna get paid, right? Then that contract gets a bonus equal to any bonus you got. So if you got a Satoshi coin, it gets a Satoshi coin. If you got 5% referring someone, it gets 5% for referring someone, right? So any bonus you got above and beyond the coins you claimed, it gets something equal to that. So that contract, it's not knowable how many coins it will get unless you gave me like a sample of which bonuses were used the most. Right?
And that's Richard's bag.
It's whoever that address is his bag. This is crypto. There's not a lot of known owners of addresses around here, right? So, and you can read it in the smart contract. It's open source. It's on github.com/BitcoinHEX, and you can read what it does. And basically what it does is it just gets any bonus you got, it gets. And then once the 50 weeks are over, there's really no bonuses left. We're trying to get a referral for staking built in. That would be cool. Not sure if that address is going to participate in that, and it definitely doesn't participate in the interest payments that you get. Is like for your percent that you make for like if you stake longer, it doesn't get any of that stuff, right? So yeah, the end result is I don't know how much that address is going to get. Hopefully it's lots and lots. It depends on how good the bonuses work out.
All right. So when's all this supposed to happen? When do you plan on this going live? When can people, expect to, participate?
So the private testnet is up, and we're configuring the testing tools to fuzz different user inputs into the contract and time warp into future states that the contract will exist in. And it's a little bit time consuming to make that work. So we're at the phase right now where we're internally testing the contract, attacking it with different user inputs. And then next we have to like graph those outputs and make sure that they're all sane and try and catch bugs. Then we lock the code, send it off for audit, put it out on public testnet, let people fool around with it. Audit comes back, sure they'll find something, fix it, set a date for the snapshot, hopefully 6 weeks, hopefully.
So you're thinking this will be live just...
But the snapshot will be a little bit later, so maybe like 8 weeks. Fingers crossed.
All right. And so for people to learn more about this, just go to the website there, BitcoinHEX.
Yep, that's it.
Cool, man. So what kind of advice do you have for people that, have been in the space for a long time, and then for maybe people that are just getting into the space? Maybe some, you wrote a book on how to live. So maybe just kind of tell us a little about, the advice you have for those people, new to the space and the vets, and the people that are battle hardened and, just covered in scars from this market.
Well, I don't like shorting the bottom. If you want to shorting a bounce seems nice. I also think that it's probably not a rush to buy back in. It doesn't seem likely that we're going to do a V bottom here. It's going to be some grindy, crappy, long, drawn-out, choppy affair that kills every trader. So that being the case, if you work a normal job, maybe you want a dollar cost average in. I mean, I can't imagine going lower than 900. That's a long way from here. So
you can have people jumping off roofs and slitting both.
Man, that was only 2 years ago that it was 900. So,
Yeah, but we've, had a 20,000 high. So back then, we had what?
The chart doesn't lie, man. We've done this crap several times before, and we're exceedingly good at it. We'll find new all-time highs again one day, but not until everyone has that feeling that you've described. When the last guy has finally sold, the bottom will be found, right? So it's not a rush to buy. So,
do you think that, to talk about all-time highs and stuff like that, if they start really doing these futures, do you think that we're actually going to have all-time highs again, or do you think they're going to tame the markets? I know we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think
this thing is different enough from that thing that we shouldn't have the same sucky problem, I think. Because, I'm not an expert on uranium. I just know the chart looked bad. But I also know that it's not like some new digital technology that can virally scale. Like, there's no viral scaling of uranium utility and usage, right? There's no viral scaling of silver usage. It's been around forever. It's not like there's some pocket of people that's like, oh, silver exists? Holy crap, look at all this cool stuff I can do with it. This is a new digital technology. It can spread virally. If it had one or two killer apps, it could do gigantic things. Maybe Lightning will help that happen. Maybe my project will help that happen, right? We just need a couple really good projects to work, and that'll start bringing people in, and then you'll start having use case. You'll start having, more money come in and all that. And even if we don't get any better, we weren't that much better this time around. And look at the pump we had. It's when everything in the world is bubbling, this seems like a pretty cool, awesome place to get another bubble in, right? So I'm more likely to believe in that we'll keep doing what we have been doing than in this time it's different. We're on CME, it's dead forever. Because CME will make more money not suppressing this than they would suppressing it.
You got like Grayscale that owns like 1%, right? So you got a lot of these big institutions that are coming in, and if you want to put on an aluminum hat, you could say, or one of the aluminum foil hats, you could say that all these big institutions and whatnot are coming in and buying as much as they can to either push the price down and to make room for something else that they do truly back and own all of. There's kind of that train of thought. I don't know if you've ever thought about that. Do you think that it's possible that these big institutions are like correlated attacks to suppress the price by as much as they can, use paper to inflate it, and then bring out their own currency that they completely control and they own all the tokens of, and then force down everybody's throats?
It seems entirely viable. The thing you've described is not outside the realm of reason. Sure, it's possible.
I just thought of the most crazy thing I could think of, and I thought, what if? Let's put on my aluminum foil hat and just say, you got all these big banks and they've never been our friends. Why would they want us to make money too? So,
I think the most compelling argument against that is that every other attempt they've had at jumping out of their lane has failed terribly. So their version of PayPal failed terribly. their version of anything they've ever tried to do has failed terribly. So the history of banks doing anything well at all in the consumer space anywhere is full of train wrecks. So I don't think we have to worry about it. You could worry about Facebook or Amazon doing it, and that would be a more credible threat than the banks.
Yeah, can you imagine if they just add crypto to Facebook and people were able to tip and basically just send people crypto? It's going to be epic overnight. Everybody's going to know what crypto is. Yep. But do we want do we want Facebook to be the the person that does that? I don't know.
It's a good question. That is a good question.
So, as far as for new people in the space, they're thinking, hey man, this was $20,000. Now it's at 3,400, whatever it is.
People don't want to buy things that are going down. They want to buy things that are going up.
Psychology. Yeah. They're afraid of missing out. They'll wait till it gets to the top, of course.
Yeah.
But for people that are watching this, we are like the 1% of crypto. Nobody else really knows or cares. They've heard the name, but they don't follow it. They just think, they missed the bus or whatever. But for new people that are coming in, that this is reaching, what would you tell them? What do you think, a good time to enter the market is? How high do you think this is going to go? And what's your projection, like in the next, year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, for Bitcoin?
Symmetry. So if it took a year and a half to reach bottom, it'll take a year and a half to find new all-time highs, assuming that we have symmetrical bear markets as we've had in the past. The longer it takes that we screw around and keep making lower lows, then the longer it'll take to get back up there. That's it. So we've already done a year, so we have at least a year to go.
So a year before we have all-time highs again?
If we V-bottomed here, yeah. If we flop around and go sideways for a while, it just takes that much longer. I was talking all today on Twitter about a short squeeze, and while we've been on this call, the short squeeze happened, so the price is up. Let me look here, 6% since we've been on our call.
Take a look here. Where are we at? Looks like it's 32.87.
33.95. I got 34.70.
I'm using CoinMarketCap. I probably shouldn't, but it says 33.95. So
trust me, it's 34.70.
All right.
I assure you.
Very cool. Yeah, and then like I said in the beginning, on all of these videos, I always give away $100 of Ethereum for free. Once I post this video, I didn't know we were going to go live, but I'll probably post this video Monday or Tuesday. And so for anybody that wants the $100 of Ethereum, all they got to do is just post their public Ethereum address in the comments on the video itself. And every Monday, we go live with a live stream and we pick up, the winner for every single video we do. And there's usually about anywhere from 5 to 7 videos a week, plus on our Telegram, which is just CryptoBeadles group, where we give away $100 there too. So usually it's anywhere between $800 to $1,000 a week that I give away for free just to get people into crypto. So there's no scam, nothing like that. It's just our way of giving back. Maybe we'll give away some BitcoinHEX when that stuff goes live too. So.
Neat.
But yeah, so again, maybe talking about some of the people in the space, for instance, with Fake Toshi, Craig Wright, Roger Ver, maybe just kind of a recap on your thoughts of them for people on my channel that haven't heard, what you think of those guys, and then maybe even touch on Tone Vays a little bit and his strategies.
Well, Tone Vays primarily uses a modified Tom DeMark TD9 countdown sequential system, which is basically candle counting, which is kind of just a permutation of seeing how long you've had up movement and how long you've had down movement. So it's kind of like an overbought, oversold indicator in the time domain. He's was bearish when it was smart to be bearish, and then it's you'd have to look at his track record. If you want to look at Roger made a fake version of Bitcoin, bought a lot of it, teamed up with a guy that also helped him do that, and then gave a voice to fake Satoshi. And then now fake Satoshi has punished them for their evil and their screw up. And now he's suing them. Or not him personally, but his team, the Team SV. Yeah, when you do bad things and set the standard that bad things are okay, those bad things tend to happen to you. So it's better not to do bad things, and then those bad things are less likely to happen to you. And so not only did Roger and Jihan and John Matonis and a lot of other guys make hard forks cool, contentious hard forks, brand dilution and the such, but now they've allowed CSW and his team onto the scene so that they can make lawsuits cool. And now we've got developers getting sued. So Dedalnix, who is a Maori Seche, a French guy who wrote and founded Bitcoin ABC, which became Bitcoin Cash, now has a summons apparently from the state of Florida regarding a lawsuit for Bitcoin Cash checkpointing and mining and such. And that's disgusting, and that's how you spread cancer on open source, and that's a result of letting evil in, and that's Roger's fault and Jihan's fault and everyone else that stood next to him on stage and didn't condemn him, as Vitalik did, condemned him. I did, condemned him. And, some other good people were out there saying, this guy's a fraud, and no one listens. So now that cancer has money, and the world is going to be a worse place now.
So is there anything, kind of in the interview we haven't talked about you'd like the audience to know about?
Go to Strape on Telegram. Go to my Twitter, Richard Hart Win, YouTube, Richard Hart. If you want to read that book, it's just a big outline. It's dense. Good luck getting through it, but there's gold nuggets in there. It's called Scivive. You should invest and save in your own life. Maybe you're smart, you're rich, you go start the Save Your Ass Fund. I'd like to invest. A lot of people would. Beat me to it. Go get rich. Make your 2 and 20. That's 2% and 20% of profit. It's like a hedge fund standard thing, investment fund thing. What else? If you need to protect your fiat value, use the Bitmex link in the bottom of the video. CryptoBeadles does a lot more content than I do, I think, so check his channel out. He's got a Twitter too. I think it's Roberto Beadles. Is that right?
It's just Robert Beadles. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. Go to bitcoinhex.com. Throw your email in there if you want to make sure you don't miss it. And I think it's going to be awesome.
Well, stick around after we end this. I want to ask you a couple questions, but it was cool, man, to do this live. We were expecting to do this just as a pre-recorded video and then put it out. So again, this will go out on. This is cool. But this will go out on my channel Monday or Tuesday. Somebody won $100 of Ethereum on this one too. So thanks a bunch, man, for giving us the time and exposing your thoughts, and some of the way you do things to for all the listeners. It's always great to hear more about you personally, and I respect the fact that you have a very different opinion from most people out there in the space. And so whether it be true or false, it's awesome just to have variety. It's cool to have somebody that's different from everybody else, just basically parroting what everybody else says. They watch something on NBC or whatnot, and they think they're smart by just regurgitating it or spitting it out. It's cool when you've got unique perspectives that you share with people. So
if you're not generating new ideas and popularizing them, you're not a thought leader. So when I say that stuck up sounding thought leader crap, it's one, because no one else looks up the title, they're scared, and two, I actually come up with new ideas and make them popular. So I actually deserve the title to some degree.
Well, whatever you're doing, man, keep doing it, because a lot of people appreciate it. It'll generate a little bit of hate from some people, but people do that anyways. You can't.
I bet CSW doesn't like me because they keep talking about pissing on him if he's on fire and not doing it.
But we definitely need people like you in the space. I mean, even like McAfee, not to push him, but we need people like that in the space that are different from everybody else, because otherwise, why
maximum
watch?
Different. There ain't nothing more different than that. That man lives a different life.
Yeah, I mean, but it's cool to hear, like when you look at his rants, his tweets, things like that, it is cool, man. It's cool that we have somebody out there just talking like that for us. Whether he's right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. It sparks up a conversation that's rare, because most of the time it's just people saying the same thing. So
Agreed.
Again, I just appreciate the variety. So I'll let you get.
I appreciate all the great questions, man.
Oh,
Thank you a lot. I appreciate it, man.
Anytime. We'll stick around. And for everybody out there watching right now, God bless. Great meeting y'all. Take care.
See you guys.